Hi there YouTube, this is the Magnus bringing you another Total War Warhammer video, but this time we're going to be looking at the patch notes for the patch that's dropping tomorrow with the Grim Engrave DLC. And again, that drops tomorrow, so if you haven't pre-ordered, you know you're going to play it. Might as well save yourself some money and go out and pick it up. It's going to give you 2 new legendary lords, 16 regiments of renown, and like 8 new units at what I think is a very good price, so I think you ought to pick it up. Anyways, let's take a look at the notes as far as how they affect multiplayer. The first and biggest is the maximum number of heroes you can have in a multiplayer battle has been reduced from 4 to 3. Definitely a step in the right direction. Hero spam, I think, hurts the game. It makes the main core army units less interesting, which I think is key as well. The cost of ranking up units has been reduced. Another great decision, I believe. Because, let's be honest, most people, the vast majority I would say, including myself, only rank up units with leftover cash that won't let you buy another unit, which clearly indicates that it's underpowered. So I really look forward to seeing how much that's reduced and how much of a factor that ends up being. Non-rifle missile infantry had their range increased by 5, rifle infantry had their range increased by 10, excluding Iron Drakes. And I think this is a great play as well. If you've been paying attention to the metagame at all, everybody's been very hero focused with a lot of infantry, and if they have good cavalry, that as well. Missiles have definitely declined in usage quite a bit because they're not very competitive, and I think this is definitely a step in the right direction. Will be enough to justify missiles in a lot of armies you haven't in the past? I don't know, but I definitely look forward to finding out. The artillery buff from last patch certainly resulted in me seeing more artillery on the field, so I hope this has a similar effect. All flying mount options have been increased in cost by roughly 50. I think this is good as well. Flying, especially flying heroes, which this addresses, and flying lords are greatly overused by the factions that can use them, so obviously they must always be worth it, which means I think this is required. HP regeneration, including potions, has had a unit ability scaling pass. If you want to know exactly what that means, I'm not sure, but basically what it seems to indicate is that the amount of hit points that a unit can regenerate is going to be capped, and that's based on, scaled upon the unit hit points itself. So how dramatic of a change is that going to be? I don't know. I think the easier way to handle this would have been to make potions much more expensive and that you could only bring 1. But maybe this works, so we'll have to try it out and see how that works out. It mentions tweaks to magic missiles, reducing strength and volume. Thank the Lord. I think Lord sniping is way too cheesy. It's too divergent from the tabletop. In the lore of the game, these are supposed to be heroes and lords, you know, super powerful. And when you get one shot all the time by the Gaze of Nagash or Vindictive Glare or Shem's Burning Cheese, those are the 3 that have been really overpowered. It really detracts from the game. So I think this is a great idea. We'll have to see how effective it is. I hope, you know, they haven't nerfed it to where they're not usable. Maybe it takes like a third of health on average. But, you know, get rid of the one shot, because that's just ridiculous. I can bring Malagor, for example, from the Beastmen and spend 2200 on him, you know, to get a bunch of spells and abilities and stuff like that, and then watch him go poof from one stupid missile. So I look forward to that. Direct damage, it says, has also had a unit ability scaling pass, and that whether you're fighting small unit sizes or ultra, you're going to get much more reproducible results. Now, I hope this means that direct damage is going to get better, because there's very few spells that deal direct damage that are really useful. You're much better off spending your Winds of Magic, generally speaking, on magic missiles and buffs and debuffs and area effect type things like the net. So hopefully this makes direct damage more competitive. I really wish they would address vortex spells, because they look great, but they're so useless because they're so unpredictable and just there's no consistency whatsoever. Next brings up the individual factions. Greenskins, they raised Azhag's cost by 50. Not sure why. He's not really used at all. Ever since you could bring a orc war boss with 2 potions, Grimgor's seen little use, but I'd say Azhag has seen even less. But, yeah, it's minor, so There it is. For the Beastmen, their giant has lost 12 melee attack and 10 charge bonus. I think this was necessary because the Beastmen giant was outperforming the other two giants, which isn't a giant kind of a giant, especially since the Beastmen, their monstrous units don't have a woods penalty. I feel like they already had enough benefit, so I think that was a good move. And it shouldn't drastically change the effectiveness of the Beastmen giant, but we'll see. The Cygor, minor accuracy decrease. I think it's necessary. The Cygor, especially when you summon him, is quite cost effective. And he's just a little too good at hitting people with his giant rock. He's a bit of a sniper, those things. So it says minor accuracy decrease. I think that's appropriate, so hopefully it is minor and he's not just chucking them all over the place. Chaos Warhounds, whether poison or not, got -25 to their cost. I think that's good. They're definitely underused. They're very situational and dependent on micro, so I think they should be cheaper. Looking at dwarfs, the miners, warriors with great weapons, and quarrelers all got their costs reduced by 25 each. Now 25 is not a lot, but if you add that to the fact that now ranking up your units is going to be more cost effective, it could be a game changer. And after the last patch, I felt the dwarfs got considerably stronger. Not quite competitive yet, but this might be enough to push them over. The fact that warriors and quarrelers, who are already pretty solid units, got a cost reduction is very promising. Quarreler with the great weapon got +1 damage, +1 armor piercing damage, and +2 melee attack, which I think is really interesting because myself, some of the people I play with, and some of you that I've interacted with during my comments on my videos have all expressed some disappointment with the performance of great weapons. Will this be enough to make them cost effective and a value and an asset to bring to your army? We'll have to find out, but I'm definitely interested to do so. Thunderers got +2 armor piercing damage, better accuracy, but their reload time's 1 second longer. I hope this makes Thunderers a little better because they are harder to micro than Quarrelers, so I feel like the payoff should be better. Gyro Bomber and Gyrocopters, +5 range. Okay, that's not a huge change. I did believe that they were going to reduce their ammo, but I'm not seeing that here, which is interesting. The Gyro Bomber and Gyrocopter, specifically the Gyrocopter, has been so effective, even the ones with the brimstone guns, so effective against any army that can't or doesn't bring flyers. It's just, they're really hard to deal with. So I would have liked to seen a different adjustment there, but we'll see how it goes. Thorgrim got 50 cheaper. I think that's a good thing. He definitely feels overpriced. Not that he's not usable or good, but he does feel a little expensive. Maybe that could have been 100, but we'll see. The Flame Cannon, -150 cost. I think it'll still suck, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. Iron Drakes got +10 magic resistance. It's good to see them get something. I just don't know that that was the answer, really. The dwarfs are already pretty resistant to magic. People don't generally focus their build against the dwarfs on dealing magic damage. So I just can't help but think that's going to be extremely underwhelming. For Bretonnia, you've heard me talk about how mounted yeomen suck, and they reduced their cost by 50. So they're going to go from 600 to 550. I still don't think they're going to be very useful. Maybe bringing one like people occasionally do to be able to see behind your enemy and have something running around back there to distract them. But other than that, I'm not seeing it. Mounted Yeoman Archers got +5 range. That's good, but again, with all of the missile cavalry, the biggest issue is that you have less units than you do with missiles on foot, but they're more expensive and they have less ammo. So when you put all those things together, you just end up with a very underwhelming influence on the battle. So I don't see them used a lot, and I don't think this is going to change that. The Hippogriff got a negative to mass, so it's going to have less mass. And when we get the Empire, they did the same to the Griffin, which the Empire's coming up right now. I think that's interesting. I'm guessing the goal here, and again, it's a guess, an educated one, but still a guess, that they've done this because they want to make it harder to pull through regular army units with these mounts, which is going to indirectly kind of nerf the leaders with the potions on these mounts. Because if you notice, it doesn't mention the named mounts of the king and the emperor, which is very interesting. For the Empire, also Outriders got -5 range. Again, is it something that people really use that needed to be addressed? I don't think so, but whatever. Handgunners got +2 armor piercing damage, +1 second reload time, -2 ammo. I would generally trade ammo definitely for damage. Absolutely, because how often do you end up using all of your ammo in a battle with your missile units? Virtually never. And if you did a great job and you probably won anyways. So hopefully this ends up being a good trade-off. I don't know about the 1 second reload time though. Crossbowmen had their ammo reduced by 2. Does it matter? Not really. How often do you use all of it? Greatswords, -1 bonus versus infantry. I think this was necessary. Greatswords are pound for pound the most cost-effective anti-infantry infantry in the game. They're great against everything. They mow everything down, and they're only 950 compared to like Black Orcs at 1100, or if you look at the Chosen, 1250 to 1450. They're just too darn cost-effective. Is this going to be enough to fix it? I doubt it, but it's a step in the right direction. Spearmen lost some attack speed. I think this is good too. Spearmen are a little too reliable for the cost and a little too effective, and that will definitely help. They'll still have the same holding power, but they're not going to be able to put out as many kills. Hold the Line and Blood Roar were changed to passive abilities. I'm not sure what the intent is there. The Blood Roar being a passive ability, if all the time it's, you're going to have -8 to leadership to all the enemies around you. It seems like you're making something that was kind of strong stronger, so I don't know what the purpose of that is. And the same thing with Hold the Line, so we'll have to see if the values change on top of it being passive, or they're just going to have those effects all the time. If they have those effects all the time, and they're just as powerful, this is could potentially be a big boon to the Empire, who quite frankly does not need, doesn't need any help or any love at this point. The net had its radius reduced and its upgraded magic cost fixed. So I'm guessing that means it's been raised. A reduced range, a radius, I'm sorry, and an increase in cost definitely needed. The net is very, very, very powerful and used entirely too much in competitive play and to great effect. And I think this is definitely, again, a step in the right direction. For the vampire counts, the Vargolf got plus attack pushback force. Why? I don't know. It already plays ping pong with Gorbals, which are a high mass hero unit, and they knocked them back about 75% of their strikes, so I guess that wasn't enough. I think they were a little too effective in that regard, but they are very prohibitively expensive, so Vargolf is definitely the master of knockback now, if he wasn't already before. Manfred got his cost reduced by 100, only 50 if he's on a flying mount. He was a little too expensive, possibly. Definitely with the fact that you see a lot of people bringing the Vampire Lord with the potions over Manfred, which, certainly shouldn't be happening. And Manfred's going to need to be cheaper, quite probably, with Vlad and our member from the Grim and the Grave coming on board. He's going to need to be more competitive, so I guess I get that. Melee defense is set to 50 on all mounts. I don't know what it was before, so it doesn't indicate whether that's a buff or nerf. I'm guessing a buff. And melee defense in general in this game seems to be too low. I wish it was higher across the board. I think it would lead to longer battles in a believable way that would allow for more tactical movement during the battle. Vampire Lord, his defense was set to 45 on all mounts. Probably shouldn't be that close to Manfred, but okay. The Black Coach, Black Nimbus, changed resistance to all and increased resistance to 66. Now when they say all, is that all magics or everything? Because if it's a 66% ward, that's ridiculous, and I want to use Black Coaches now. But if it's just a magic, it's a step in the right direction. Who uses Black Coach? It needs help, so I'd rather see it be a little overpowered or something and people use it. Graveguard with great weapons, -1 bonus versus infantry. A lot in the mold of it's the same nerf they gave to the great swords. Probably needed. Graveguard with great weapons are quite effective. Fellbats lost 20 speed. I guess they felt the way they were moving and what they could do was just too much for a 350 cost unit, and they're probably right. Direwolves got 50 cheaper. Necessary. Again, they're just like their Chaos Hound brethren, very underutilized, only situational, only good micro, and now maybe they'll see a little more play out there. Night Shroud was given an extra radius and much greater strength. Not exactly extra radius, but how much? Much greater strength sounds promising, so that might be useful. And Chaos, the Lord of Change, got plus 20 armor piercing damage, plus 100 health points, and plus 15A attack. I'm not sure. You guys will have to help me out with that one. But the Lord of Change, clearly an underutilized Lord, so anything that makes him more playable, I think, is promising, especially with the shape the Lore of Metal is in right now. The Lore of Metal is, it's just not very useful. Not to say it's unplayable, but it's definitely not preferable. Marauder Horseman Javelin got a 50 cost reduction, and the Horseman with the throwing axes got a 25 cost reduction. Again, the ranged cavalry is horribly underused, and if this helps them be more effective, then it's definitely a step in the right direction. Again, probably not enough, but they generally are very conservative with when they're buffing a unit or nerfing, and so it's kind of to be expected. Malagor's Crowfather now grants increased starting winds of magic instead of charge and speed bonus. That is unfortunate, because I feel like that was the one ability that made Malagor almost a must-have, because I think the speed bonus was like 24. That's what I was really interested in. 24% speed across the board really made you able to haul butt across the map, which for a faction that generally doesn't bring ranged and stuff like that, and is more of a rush faction, was extremely helpful to them. Beastmen in the campaign definitely overpowered. In multiplayer, not so much, especially with the potion fix. So I'm not sure I really like this. Maybe the Winds of Magic is a decent trade-off. I doubt it, but it's certainly possible. And that wraps up the patch notes for tomorrow's Grim in the Grave release. Overall, I've got to say, it looks very promising for multiplayer. I like that there's a lot of things here. It shows that they're definitely aware of a lot of things. The dwarfs obviously need the love, so I was very happy to see that. The one disappointment is, though, Chaos has been surpassed by the dwarfs, and now I truly believe Chaos rests in the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the multiplayer. And that's unfortunate, because for me, it's my favorite faction as far as like flavor and lore and just the style, and the way the units look and the way Chaos plays, the nihilism. It's awesome. But unfortunately, their units are just overpriced and underperform, the vast majority of them. And a lot of that is not consistent with the tabletop or the lore. For example, until the ogres got these insane mounts and stuff like this and put a cav unit out, considered the best cav in the game, in the lore, is the Chaos Knights. They're supposed to be incredible, but they're not. They're kind of underwhelming. They're great against infantry, but most of the time your cav's going to run into other cav. And that makes the vampire counts with their blood knights, and of course the Empire with their kitty cat cav. It puts some heads and shoulders above them and Bretonnia. I think that really needed to be addressed. I think Bretonnia could have used some buffs, but I guess they're waiting until they release them and add new units to their roster, which there's only a few out there unless they get really creative with a license. So I would have liked to see Chaos get some love here. I mean, they deeply need it, and we really didn't get much. The Lord of Change got a little better, and the Marauder Horseman with Javs and Axe got a little cheaper. So not what I was looking for on that front, but otherwise I think it's a great patch. I think it's going to do a lot to make multiplayer more competitive, and that's a great thing. If I missed anything, or you have some insights that maybe I didn't think of, please share them in the comments for me. I love to discuss these things with you guys, as you've probably noticed. And also, for your fellow viewers, so that they can see your insights as well. If this was informative, if you liked it, if you want me to cover patch notes in the future, please please subscribe, and I'll be sure to do that. I want to bring you guys what you want to hear, what you want to see. Until next time, this is the Magnus. Can't wait for tomorrow. Go out and buy it. No, I don't get paid for saying that. I'm just saying I want more and more of you guys to have those units, to have the new lords, and get to face you on the field of battle. Until then, again, this is the Magnus. Take care.